Welcome back. We are still talking about the 12 rising signs in astrology, and this video is going to be all about Leo risings. We're going to start by talking about the Leo archetype and what it's like to embody this energy on the first house, and then we'll go through house by house and explore the journey of a Leo rising birth chart in whole sign houses. Um, so let's start. So Leo is symbolized by the lion. And in this symbolism, we can see Leo's association with pride, with strength, and with loyalty. Leo is fixed fire. Fixed is the modality, fire is the element, and Leo is the diurnal home sign of the sun. Leo is actually the only home sign of our diurnal luminary, so it might be our most diurnal sign in certain kinds of ways. Um, in its relationship with the sun, we can see Leo as kind of solar powered, right? Leo is often pretty concerned with vitality and its energy levels, how it's expressing its energy levels. Leo can be confident and courageous. Leo can be a sign that we think of as belonging in the spotlight because the sun is a spotlight. Leo can be a performer and a leader, very bold, very inspiring. And we think of Leo as creating the self through expression of the self, right? So, authentic embodiment of who they really are is very important to Leo typically. And this can make for the stereotype that Leos are self centered. And there is a kind of way where, yes, they are centering their self expression in their lives. And they expect other people to do that too. They sort of want to stand as an example of how to do that very often, but it is important to them. But also, that stereotype can ring true sometimes as well. Leo is associated with the ego. Leo can be a sign that we think of as really craving attention, but it's more a desire to be recognized in their authenticity. And again, the sun kind of needs to be seen in this way. They have a real willingness to take risks, especially creative risks and risks when it's associated to how they're being seen, but they still want to be seen well, typically, well regarded. Well, they have a desire to stand out in the crowd at the same time. Leo can be stubborn and willful and very determined. Leo can be dramatic and flamboyant. Leo can be childlike and incredibly creative. And all at the same time, Leo can be very dependable. But that's just the first house. So let's go through house by house and explore a Leo rising birth chart. So from the Leo first house, we move to the Virgo second house. Having Virgo in the second house shows how important it is, how critical it is for Leo to feel like they are providing for themselves and taking care of themselves in a way that is meaningful, but also how much their needs are like actually change, how changeable meeting their needs is, and how often they have to reassess what it means to provide for themselves. Having Libra on the third house suggests that their neighborhoods, their close friends, their siblings are really important to them and feeling balanced in their lives, and that brings a lot of beauty into their lives. But also that Leo is a lot more compromising than the archetype might get the stereotype for being. Leo can be seen as very my way or the highway, but when it comes to people they really care about, they know how to share and they know how to compromise. Having Scorpio in the fourth house, it can suggest that Leos have not always felt fully able to express themselves. There's a sort of intensity coming from the bottom of the chart. So they might have had really intense home environments or early childhoods, but also they might have felt like there were a lot of pieces of them that they needed to keep secret for safety. And that's really challenging their first house need to express themselves authentically. Having Sagittarius in the fifth house suggests that Leos can do a lot of exploration work, a lot of world building through their creative habits, through their relationships with children, through just experiencing joy in general. Having a good time is important to the way that they structure their philosophy in a big way. Slash, they might have a really philosophical approach to experiencing joy. Having Capricorn on the sixth house means that their routines are really important to them. And this does kind of make sense given that they have a fixed rising sign. There's a certain need to plod the course, but having Capricorn on the sixth house means that there's also a need to challenge those well-worn paths with some bursts of energy to try something new when it comes to their routines, the way they approach their mundane work life. But also to be very structured and to have a long-term goal with it. They want to know where the work they're doing today fits in the grand scheme of things. Having Aquarius on the seventh house suggests that Leo likes to partner in a way that actually breaks boundaries and challenges what people expect of them in a certain kind of way, but also they like to partner for good. Having a Saturn ruled seventh house suggests that they really are looking for someone to be their other half. Maybe someone who's not as interested in the spotlight, but someone who has their own quirks and who the Leo finds interesting nonetheless. And maybe a little dominant in a surprising kind of way. Maybe. Um, Having Pisces on the eighth house suggests that it is so important for Leo to understand who they are, but it can be very hard for them to draw boundaries around who they are when it comes to their important people or the way that they share resources. There's a blending of self and other that challenges the way we think of them as so self-determined, right? There's actually a lot more blur there when it comes to people they're actually willing to share with and partner with. They're also willing to blur the lines of where I end and where you begin in a way that is unexpected, I think. Having Aries on the ninth house suggests that Leo can be kind of impulsive when it comes to taking on new philosophies, traveling maybe, but uh, there's a certain worthiness in that. Like, this is a great area for them to be impulsive in that way. And not necessarily like always traveling, but also just encountering new ideas. It's important to set aside preconceived notions and just walk headfirst into new ideas for them sometimes, or into the unknown. Having Taurus on the 10th house means that Leo risings typically uh, want to be seen well, right? They want to be well regarded, like I said about their first house, but also they want to be seen less flamboyantly than they are. They want to be seen more reliably, more structurally, more definitely Venusian. They're looking to attract opportunities and attract people to them based on what they're putting out there. But yeah, they want to be seen in a slightly more stable way than their first house energetic fluctuations might suggest. That there's conflict there. They may fluctuate more in what they want to do and in how they express their energy than they actually want to be seen by others. They want to be perceived more reliable. Um, but also it bodes well for them to attract people to them, attract opportunities to them. Having a Gemini 11th house suggests that Leo can be really chatty when they're in community, when they're in groups and organizations that make sense to them. They can be really engaged. They can pick up a lot of information. They can be really witty and funny, but also it's a good way to know what situations are bringing out the best in you by seeing if you ever do feel this way, right? So Leo risings who are in communities that don't make them feel buzzy and open to new information and flexible may not be in communities that are serving them all the time, right? There could be something to that. Not a hard and fast rule, but having Gemini in the 11th house means that they're also typically great networkers and great at meeting new people and merging their worlds. Having a Cancer 12th house means that there is a whole deep internal world within the Leo rising that just wants to feel safe and protected. And a lot of times that Leo first house energy is serving to protect the soft Cancer underbelly of the 12th house. There's something very emotional under there, but also something deeply caring. And it backs up the loyalty in a really strong way. But it's so important for them to take time, be with themselves and kind of themselves alone to really deeply nourish that Cancer 12th house because it needs attention and they can lash out if they're not feeding themselves in this way that they really need to. Yeah, so that is the Leo rising birth chart. Virgo rising will be next.